The great station Eternity Prime floated in the darkness of space like a jewel among the stars. It was the largest structure ever built by living beings. Thousands of ships came and went from its ports every day. Inside its massive halls, the fate of the galaxy was decided. Today was the 200th annual summit of the Galactic Assembly. Representatives from 47 species had gathered in the Grand Chamber. The room was enormous, with seats rising in circles around a central platform. Strange creatures of all shapes and sizes filled those seats. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had no bodies at all. Just floating clouds of light. They had come from every corner of the galaxy to discuss trade, borders, and war. High Arbiter Velos stood at the center platform. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 eyes that never blinked. He had led the assembly for 300 years. In all that time, he had never shown fear. But today, there was worry in his voice. "The Devourer swarm continues to advance," he said. His words echoed through the chamber. 3 more systems have fallen. The swarm consumes everything. Planets, moons, stars. Nothing survives. The chamber was silent. Everyone knew about the swarm. It was a living nightmare, a mass of organic ships that ate worlds and grew stronger with each meal. It had started at the edge of the galaxy. Now it was moving inward. Toward them, "We must increase our military spending." Velos continued. "We must work together. But first, let us complete the roll call." A small robot floated forward and began reading names. One by one, representatives announced their presence. The Malori, proud warriors with red skin and sharp teeth, declared themselves ready for war. The Veleth, peaceful traders who looked like giant flowers, spoke of diplomacy. The Kryn, ancient beings of pure energy, hummed their response. Then the robot spoke a name that made the chamber stir. Earth. Silence. Every eye turned to a single seat in the far corner of the chamber. It was small and simple, nothing like the grand thrones of the other species. And it was empty. It had been empty for 87 years. Laughter broke out among the delegates. The Malori general slapped his knee. A group of insect-like creatures clicked their mandibles in amusement. Even Velos allowed himself a thin smile. "The humans," someone called out, "still hiding on their little rock. Perhaps they forgot how to build ships." Another voice added, "They never learned in the first place." The chamber erupted in mockery. Earth was a joke to them. Humans were weak, primitive, and foolish. They had joined the assembly 200 years ago with big dreams and small ships. They had asked for technology. They had asked for help. They had been refused. "Humans are not ready," the assembly had said. "Come back in 1,000 years." So the humans had stopped coming. For 87 years, their chair had gathered dust. Most species had forgotten they existed. Velos raised his hand for silence. "I propose we vote," he said. "Earth has abandoned its responsibilities. They contribute nothing. They attend nothing. I say we remove them from the assembly forever." Ambassador Thrix, a small creature with soft blue fur, raised his hand. "High Arbiter, may I speak?" Velos frowned. The Malori were troublesome enough without the gentle Thrix causing problems. "Make it quick." Thrix stood on his tiny legs. 87 years ago, Earth received classified information about the Devourers. Shortly after, they went silent. Does no one find this strange? They were scared. Velos replied. "Humans are cowards, perhaps," Thrix said softly. "Or perhaps they were preparing." More laughter filled the chamber. The idea of humans preparing for anything was the funniest joke most species had heard in years. "The vote," Velos announced. "All in favor of removing Earth from the Galactic Assembly?" Hands, tentacles, claws, and appendages of every kind rose into the air. The vote was nearly unanimous. Velos lifted his ceremonial gavel. "Then, it is decided. Earth is hereby." Every alarm on the station screamed to life. Red lights flashed. Screens flickered. The calm voice of the station's computer cut through the chaos. "Warning. Massive hyperspace signatures detected. 1,000 vessels. Repeat. 1,000 vessels incoming." The chamber fell into panic. Delegates screamed and ran for the exits. Velos gripped his podium, his 4 eyes wide with shock. The Mallory general drew his weapon, unsure what he was supposed to fight. On the main screen, 1,000 points of light appeared around Eternity Prime. They came from every direction, surrounding the station in a perfect sphere. As the lights faded, shapes became visible. Ships, warships, each one was sleek and powerful, built for speed and destruction. Their hulls were dark gray, and they moved with terrifying precision. No one recognized the design. No one recognized the symbols. Then a transmission cut through all channels, overriding every system on the station. A calm, steady voice spoke in perfect galactic common. "This is Admiral Jinwoo Kang of the United Earth Fleet." The chamber went silent. Delegates stopped running. Even the alarms seemed to quiet. "We apologize for our absence from your meetings. We have been quite busy." On the screen, a face appeared. It was human, male, middle-aged, with gray hair at his temples and tired eyes that had seen too much. He wore a simple uniform without medals or decorations. Behind him, through a window, the stars were visible. 87 years ago, Admiral Kang continued. "You told us we were not ready. You refused to share your technology. You refused to help us. So we helped ourselves." He paused. His eyes seemed to look directly at Velos. "You laughed at us. You mocked us. You called us primitive and weak. And while you laughed, while you held your meetings and gave your speeches, we built, we trained, we prepared for the war you were too afraid to fight." The ships outside began to move, slowly rotating to display their weapons. Energy cannons, missile bays, systems that no species in the assembly had ever seen before. "The Devourer swarm is coming," Kang said. "We know. We've known for 87 years. And unlike you, we did something about it." He leaned closer to the camera. "Now, High Arbiter Velos, I believe you were about to remove us from the assembly. Please, continue. We will wait." No one moved. No one spoke. The gavel in Velos's hand trembled. Outside, 1,000 warships held their position. Silent and patient, humanity had returned. 87 years before the fleet appeared at Eternity Prime, a young woman sat alone in a dark room on Earth. Her name was Dr. Mina Cho. She was a scientist who studied signals from space. That night, she found something that would change everything. Her computer had picked up a strange transmission from the edge of the galaxy. It was not meant for humans. It was not meant for anyone in the assembly. It came from the Devourer swarm. Mina worked for 3 days without sleep to decode the message. When she finally understood it, her blood turned cold. The message was a map. It showed the path the swarm would take through the galaxy. It listed the systems they would consume and the order in which they would consume them. At the bottom of the list, marked clearly, was a small yellow star, the Sunday Earth sun. Mina reported her discovery to Earth's leaders. They held a secret meeting in a bunker deep underground. Presidents, generals, and scientists gathered around a single table. They had a choice to make. One option was to tell the Galactic Assembly and beg for help. But the Assembly had refused to help Earth before. They had laughed at human ships and called human technology primitive. They would probably laugh again, and even if they believed the threat, they would protect their own worlds first. Earth would be forgotten. The other option was silence. Say nothing. Ask for nothing. And prepare. The vote was unanimous. Earth would go silent, and Earth would build. The next 87 years were the hardest in human history. Every nation contributed. Old enemies became partners. Money that once paid for wars, now paid for shipyards. The best scientists disappeared from universities and appeared in secret facilities on the Moon, on Mars, and in the asteroid belt. Mina Cho spent her life working on weapons technology. She never married. She never had children. She gave everything to the project. When she died at age 91, she left her research to her student, a brilliant young woman named Hana Cho. Hana was not related to Mina by blood, but she carried her teacher's name to honor her sacrifice. Hana finished what Mina started. She cracked the secrets of quantum fold engines, which allowed ships to cross the galaxy in hours instead of years. She invented the particle lance, a weapon that could cut through any shield. She created the systems that would make Earth's fleet unstoppable, but weapons and engines were only part of the story. Ships needed crews. Crews needed training. On a shipyard station orbiting Jupiter, a boy was born. His name was Woo Jin Baek. His parents were engineers who welded hulls and installed reactors. Woo Jin never saw Earth's sky. He never felt rain on his face or grass under his feet. His whole world was metal corridors and humming machines. When Woo Jin turned 18, he joined the military academy. By 25, he was a tactical officer. By 30, he was one of the best in the fleet. He could read a battle like a musician reads music. He could predict enemy movements before they happened. When will we fight? Young officers often asked him. Soon. Woo Jin always replied. Very soon. On Mars, a girl named Yuna Park grew up listening to stories. Her parents had been among the first generation of builders. They had died in a construction accident when she was young, crushed when a shipyard section collapsed. Yuna was raised by the state, educated in military schools, and trained to pilot warships. She was fierce and angry. She had lost her parents to the fleet, and she wanted the fleet to be worth their sacrifice. By 40, she was captain of the flagship, Horizon's Edge, the most powerful ship ever built by human hands. Why do we hide? Her crew sometimes asked. Because, when we reveal ourselves, Yuna always answered. We want them to be afraid. Above all of them stood Admiral Jinwoo Kang. He was old now, but his mind was sharp. Once, many years ago, he had been a diplomat. He had attended assembly meetings and smiled politely while aliens insulted his species. He had asked for help and received mockery. He had begged for technology and received scorn. Those years had taught him something important. The galaxy did not respect weakness. The galaxy did not reward kindness. The galaxy only understood one thing: power. So Jinwoo dedicated his life to building power. He became the architect of humanity's grand strategy. He planned the fleet. He designed the tactics. He chose the officers and trained the crews. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier existed because of his vision. When the fleet was finally complete, Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Edge and looked at the stars. We are ready, he said quietly. Dr. Hannah Cho stood beside him. She was older now, with gray in her hair, but her eyes still burned with the same fire as her teacher Mina. The swarm will arrive in 6 months, she said. The assembly still does not know. They will know soon enough. Captain Yuna Park approached them. Admiral, the fleet is in position. All 1,000 ships report ready. Jinwoo nodded. Set course for Eternity Prime. Sir, if I may ask. Yuna hesitated. Why reveal ourselves now? Why not wait for the swarm and fight them alone? Jinwoo turned to face her. His eyes were tired but determined. Because we are not like them, he said. The assembly abandoned us. They laughed at us. They left us to die. We could do the same to them. We could let the swarm consume them while we watch from safety. He shook his head. But that is not who we are. Humans do not abandon others, even those who abandoned us. We will save the galaxy, Captain. Not because they deserve it, but because we can. Yuna smiled. It was a hard smile, but there was pride in it. Then let's give them something to remember. The fleet jumped to hyperspace. 1,000 ships, carrying humanity's hope, raced toward the heart of the galaxy. 87 years of silence was about to end. In a dark room on a hidden station, a single light flickered. It was a memorial, built years ago to honor those who started the project. On its surface, names were engraved. Thousands of names. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, workers, people who gave their lives so that others might live. At the top of the list was a single name, Dr. Mina Cho. Beneath her name were simple words. She heard the warning. We answered it. The light flickered once more, then went dark. The station was empty now. Everyone had joined the fleet. Humanity was going to war. Chaos filled the grand chamber of Eternity Prime. Delegates shouted at each other. Some demanded immediate attack on the human fleet. Others called for negotiation. A few simply tried to escape. High Arbiter Velos gripped his podium with shaking hands. His 4 eyes darted between the screens, showing the 1,000 warships and the panicking crowd before him. "Silence!" he screamed. "Silence!" The room slowly grew quiet. Fear was a powerful thing. It could make even the loudest voices whisper. "This is an act of war," Velos declared. "The humans have surrounded our station with warships. We must respond with force." The Mallory general stepped forward. His name was Grath, and he had won 100 battles. "High Arbiter, give me the command. My fleet will destroy these primitives in hours." Before Velos could answer, the transmission screens flickered again. Admiral Jinwoo Kang's face appeared once more. "I mean you no harm," Kang said calmly. "I come with a request, not a threat. Allow me to board your station. Alone, unarmed. I wish to address the assembly." Velos laughed bitterly. "You surround us with weapons and ask for peace? This is absurd." "Perhaps," Kang replied. "But I am giving you a choice. Hear what I have to say, or refuse and wonder forever what could have been. The choice is yours." The chamber erupted in argument again. Some species wanted to kill Kang the moment he stepped aboard. Others were curious. What could humans possibly say that mattered? Ambassador Thrix raised his small voice. "Let him speak. What do we lose by listening?" Velos glared at Thrix but knew he was trapped. Refusing would look weak. Attacking would be risky. He had no choice. "Very well," Velos announced. "The human may board, but if he tries anything, he dies." 1 hour later, Admiral Jinwoo Kang walked into the Grand Chamber. He wore no armor. He carried no weapons. His uniform was simple and gray, without medals or decorations. He walked slowly, his footsteps echoing in the vast space. Every eye watched him. Creatures that could crush him with a single claw. Beings that could burn him with a thought. Ancient powers that had ruled the stars for millions of years. Kang did not seem afraid. He walked to the center platform and stood where Earth's empty chair had been for 87 years. He looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of every species, one by one. Then he spoke. "You think we are primitives?" he began. "You think we are weak, foolish children playing with toys we do not understand. For 200 years, you have treated us like insects. Something to be ignored, something to be crushed if it becomes annoying." He paused. "You were wrong." He raised his hand, and a hologram appeared above him. It showed a map of the galaxy, with a dark stain spreading from one edge. "The Devourer swarm. Your intelligence agencies have lied to you," Kang said. "The swarm is not months away. It is weeks away, perhaps days, and it is larger than any estimate you have been given." Murmurs filled the chamber. Velos stepped forward. "This is a lie. Our sensors would have detected. Your sensors see what the swarm wants them to see," Kang interrupted. "The swarm is not mindless. It is intelligent. It has been hiding its true numbers, waiting for the right moment to strike." He changed the hologram. It now showed documents, files, and reports. 87 years ago, one of our scientists intercepted a swarm communication. It contained their invasion plan. We shared this information with your intelligence agencies. Do you know what they did? Silence. They buried it. They decided the information was too frightening. They thought that if the people knew the truth, there would be panic. So they hid the evidence and hoped the problem would solve itself. Kang's voice grew harder. While you held meetings and gave speeches, the swarm grew stronger. While you debated and argued, entire systems were consumed. Your cowardice has doomed billions. Velos slammed his hand on the podium. You dare accuse us? You hid for nearly a century. You built weapons in secret. You are no better than. We are better, Kang said firmly. Because we did something. We prepared. We built. We trained. And now we are here to offer you a chance to survive. General Grath laughed loudly. Offer us, you primitives? The Mallory have conquered 1,000 worlds. We do not need help from creatures who cannot even reach the stars without our permission. Kang smiled. It was a calm, cold smile. Then let us test that belief. He turned to address the whole chamber. I propose a demonstration. Send your finest warship against one of ours. A single battle. No tricks. No deception. Just strength against strength. If your ship wins, we will leave and never return. But if our ship wins, you will listen to what I have to say. The chamber buzzed with excitement. This was a challenge no warrior species could refuse. Grath stepped forward eagerly. I accept. My dreadnought Starbreaker will crush your pathetic vessel. Choose your best ship, Kang said. We will send our smallest. 2 hours later, the demonstration began. The Mallory dreadnought Starbreaker was enormous. It was 5 kilometers long, covered in armor and weapons. It had won 60 battles and never lost. General Grath commanded it personally from the bridge. Against it stood the Silent Moon, an Earth cruiser barely 500 meters long. Captain Yuna Park sat in the command chair, her hands steady on the controls. Captain, Lieutenant Woojin Baek said from his station. The dreadnought is charging weapons. Let them, Yuna replied. On Eternity Prime, delegates watched through screens. Most expected the human ship to be destroyed in seconds. The battle started. Starbreaker fired everything. Missiles, energy beams, plasma cannons. The space around Silent Moon filled with fire and light. None of it hit. Silent Moon moved like nothing the assembly had ever seen. It dodged and weaved through the storm of weapons, spinning and rolling with impossible grace. Grath screamed orders. But his crew could not track the small ship. Then Silent Moon fired back. A single beam of white light shot from its nose. It passed through Starbreaker's shields like they were not there. It hit the engine room with surgical precision, disabling the ship's power systems. Then it hit the weapons array. Then the navigation computer. Then the communication hub. In 11 seconds, the most powerful warship in the Mallory fleet was completely disabled. Not destroyed. Disabled. The humans had shown mercy. The chamber was silent. Admiral Kang's voice came through the speakers. We did not skip your meetings because we were afraid. We skipped them because we were building the fleet that will save you. Now, do you want our help or not? No one answered. No one could. Outside, 1,000 warships waited in perfect formation. Earth had made its point. The demonstration changed everything. Species that had laughed at humans now looked at them with fear and respect. The Mallory General Grath, humiliated by his defeat, refused to leave his chambers. Ambassador Thrix smiled quietly from his seat. He had always believed humanity was special, but not everyone was pleased. High Arbiter Velos stood in his private office, staring at the fleet outside his window. His 4 eyes burned with hatred. For 300 years, he had controlled the assembly. He had decided who rose and who fell. He had shaped the galaxy according to his will. Now these insects from Earth had ruined everything. They must be destroyed, Velos whispered to himself. Before it is too late, he summoned his most loyal allies. 3 species came to his call. The Vorn, cold reptiles who lived for conquest. The Kreth, massive creatures of stone who crushed anything they could not understand. And the Silith, shadow beings who dealt in secrets and death. Together, they represented nearly 1/3 of the Assembly's military power. The humans are dangerous, Velos told them. They have hidden their strength for nearly a century. Who knows what other secrets they keep? If we allow them to lead, they will replace us. They will make us slaves in our own galaxy. The Vorn ambassador hissed in agreement. We should strike now, while their fleet is gathered in one place. Exactly, Velos said. A sudden attack. Overwhelming force. We destroy their ships and seize their technology. The Assembly will thank us later. The plan was set. In 6 hours, the Loyalist fleet would launch a surprise attack on Earth's ships. Victory seemed certain. Even with their advanced technology, humans could not survive an assault from hundreds of warships, but Velos made a mistake. He trusted his secrets to the wrong people. Ambassador Thrix had friends everywhere. Small creatures were often ignored, which made them perfect spies. One of his friends overheard the plan and brought it to him immediately. Thrix did not hesitate. He snuck out of the station and transmitted a message to the human fleet. Captain Yuna Park received the warning on the bridge of Horizon's Edge. "Admiral," she said urgently, "we have a problem." Jinwoo Kang read the message with a calm expression. His face did not change, but his hands tightened slightly. "How many ships?" he asked. "At least 400. Maybe more. They plan to attack in 6 hours. Lieutenant Woo Jin-baek looked up from his station. "Sir, if we strike first, we can destroy their fleet before they organize. Our weapons are superior. We would win easily." Kang was silent for a long moment. Yuna watched him carefully. She knew what he was thinking. For 87 years, humanity had been treated like dirt. They had been mocked, denied, and abandoned. Now they had the power to punish those who had wronged them, but that was not who they were. "No," Kang said finally. "We will not strike first, Admiral," Woojin started. "If we attack them before they attack us, we prove Velos right. We become the monsters he claims we are. Every species that doubts us will join against us. We will win the battle but lose the war." He turned to face his officers. "We will wait. We will let them fire the first shot. And we will trust that enough species will see the truth and stand with us." Yuna frowned. "That is a dangerous gamble." "Yes," Kang agreed. "But it is the right one. Send a message to all ships. Prepare for battle, but do not engage unless fired upon. And spread the word about Velos's treachery. Let every species know what he is planning." The next 6 hours were the longest in human history. Earth's fleet held its position. On Eternity Prime, confusion spread. Word of Velos's plot leaked through the station. Some species were outraged. Others were frightened. Many did not know what to believe. Ambassador Thrix worked tirelessly. He moved from delegation to delegation, speaking in his soft voice, sharing evidence of Velos's lies. He reminded them of the Devourer threat. He told them that Earth was their only hope. "The humans could have attacked us at any time," he said. "They had the power, but they chose mercy. They chose to help. Is that not worth something?" When the attack finally came, it was smaller than expected. Only half of Velos's promised ships appeared. The rest had refused to follow. The Malori, ashamed of their earlier defeat, declared neutrality. Several other species joined them. Even some of the Kreeth commanders turned away at the last moment. 200 ships against 1,000. The battle was brief. Earth's fleet moved with perfect coordination. They targeted engines and weapons, not bridges or crew quarters. They disabled ships instead of destroying them. In 30 minutes, the Loyalist fleet was helpless. Not a single person died on either side. Admiral Kang's voice broadcast across all channels. "We did not come here to conquer. We came here to stand beside you. But make no mistake, we will not be victims again. Not to the swarm, not to you, not to anyone." On Eternity Prime, Velos tried to escape. He ran through the corridors, his 4 eyes wild with panic. But he did not get far. His own guards stopped him. "High Arbiter," one of them said, "you are under arrest for treason against the Assembly." Velos screamed and cursed as they dragged him away. His 300 years of power ended in a cold cell on the station he had once ruled. The next day, a new coalition formed. 20 species signed the agreement, with Earth as its center. The Malori joined, their honor demanding they stand with the stronger warriors. The gentle Thrix species joined, their faith in humanity rewarded. Even some former enemies joined, recognizing that survival mattered more than pride. Admiral Kang addressed the new coalition from the Grand Chamber. This time, no one laughed. "The Devourer swarm will arrive within days," he said. "They are larger and more dangerous than anything this galaxy has ever faced. Many of us will die in the coming battle. But if we stand together, we can win, not just for our own species, but for everyone." He paused, looking around the chamber. 87 years ago, you told us we were not ready. Today, we stand beside you as equals. Let us prove that we were always ready, we just needed the chance. The coalition fleet began to gather. 1,000 human ships joined with ships from 20 species. Together, they formed the largest military force in galactic history. Captain Yuna Park watched from the bridge of Horizon's Edge. Behind her, Lieutenant Woo Jin-baek ran final calculations. Beside her, Dr. Hana Cho monitored the weapon systems she had spent her life creating. "Captain," Wujin said quietly, "the swarm has been detected. They will arrive at the Telos system in 48 hours. Yuna nodded. "Then we meet them there." She turned to face her crew. "For 87 years, our parents and grandparents built this fleet. They gave up everything so that we could have this moment. Let us make their sacrifice mean something." The fleet jumped to hyperspace. The real war was about to begin. The Telos system was quiet. 3 small planets orbited a dying star. Nothing lived there. Nothing had lived there for millions of years. It was the perfect place for a final battle. The coalition fleet waited in formation. 1,000 human ships stood at the center, surrounded by vessels from 20 allied species. Admiral Jinwoo Kang commanded from the bridge of Horizon's Edge. Beside him stood Dr. Hana Cho and Lieutenant Woojin Baek. Captain Yuna Park sat in the command chair, her hands resting on the controls. No one spoke. There was nothing left to say. Then the darkness moved. The devourer swarm emerged from deep space like a living nightmare. There were not thousands of them. There were millions. Organic ships of every size filled the void, blocking out the stars themselves. They pulsed with sickly green light, connected by invisible threads of thought and hunger. Woojin's voice was barely a whisper. "There are so many." Hana stared at her screens. "The estimates were wrong. This is 10 times larger than we predicted." Kang remained calm. "It does not matter. We fight with what we have." The swarm attacked. Waves of organic ships crashed against the coalition fleet like a tide against rocks. Weapons fired in all directions. Ships exploded. Creatures screamed through the vacuum of space. The battle was chaos, pure and absolute. Earth's technology made a difference. Particle lances cut through swarm vessels by the dozens. Quantum shields deflected attacks that would have destroyed normal ships. Human pilots flew with skill, born from generations of training. But the swarm had numbers. For every creature destroyed, 10 more took its place. Coalition ships began to fall. A Mallory cruiser was torn apart by tentacles. A Veleth transport vanished in a cloud of green fire. Even some human vessels were overwhelmed. Yuna fought like a demon. She pushed Horizon's Edge through the battle, destroying everything in her path. But even she could see the truth. They were losing. "Admiral," she said grimly, "we cannot win like this. There are too many." Kang nodded slowly. He had known this might happen. He had prepared for it. "Dr. Cho," he said, "activate Project Sunrise." Hana's face went pale. "Admiral, are you certain?" "Once it is activated, I am certain." "Do it." Hana's hands trembled as she entered the codes. Deep in the ship's cargo bay, a device began to hum. It was small, no larger than a coffin. But it contained power beyond imagination. Project Sunrise was humanity's final secret, a quantum cascade device designed to target the swarm's hive link, the invisible connection that allowed millions of creatures to think and act as one. If the device reached the heart of the swarm and detonated, it would shatter that connection forever. Every swarm creature would lose its mind at once. But there was a problem. The device could not be fired from a distance. It had to be delivered directly into the swarm's core, and the radiation it produced meant that whoever carried it would not survive. "I will take it," Kang said. "No." Yuna's voice was sharp. "You cannot." Kang turned to face her. "Captain, the fleet needs you, Admiral. You are the one who built all of this. You are the one who gave humanity hope. If you die, the coalition falls apart." She stood from her chair. "My parents built the first ships. My whole life has been leading to this moment. Let me finish what they started." Kang looked at her for a long moment. He saw the fire in her eyes, the determination, the acceptance. "Captain Park," he said softly, "are you sure?" Yuna smiled. It was a sad smile, but there was peace in it. "I have never been more sure of anything." She transferred command to Lieutenant Woojin Baek. She hugged Dr. Hana Cho, who was crying. She saluted Admiral Kang, who saluted back with tears in his own eyes. Then she walked to the cargo bay, climbed into a small stealth shuttle, and launched into the battle. The coalition fleet created a path for her. Ships threw themselves at the swarm, sacrificing themselves to give Yuna a chance. Mallory warriors died with her name on their lips. Even the gentle Thrix fought with desperate courage. Yuna flew through hell. Swarm creatures tore at her shuttle. Energy blasts burned through her shields. Warning lights screamed. Smoke filled the cockpit, but she kept flying. Finally, she reached the center. The heart of the swarm was a massive organic structure, pulsing with green light. It was the brain that controlled millions of creatures. The source of all their power. Yuna's shuttle was barely holding together. She was wounded, burned, and exhausted. But she managed one final transmission. "This is Captain Yuna Park of the United Earth Fleet. My parents built the ships. I will finish what they started." She paused, looking at the stars one last time. "For Earth. For everyone." She pressed the button. Light exploded from the heart of the swarm. The quantum cascade spread outward in a wave of pure energy. Every swarm creature touched by the wave went still. Their eyes went dark. Their minds went silent. Millions of organic ships drifted lifeless in the void. The hive link was destroyed. The battle was over. On the bridge of Horizon's edge, silence fell. Woojin stared at his screens with tears streaming down his face. Hana collapsed against a console, sobbing. Even the hardened warriors of the coalition wept. Admiral Kang stood alone, looking at the field of dead creatures. Among them, somewhere, was the wreckage of a small shuttle. "Rest now, Captain," he whispered. "You have earned it." 1 year later, Eternity Prime hosted a new gathering. But this was not the old assembly. This was the coalition of free worlds, built on the foundation of sacrifice and trust. Admiral Jinwoo Kang, now Ambassador Kang, took his seat for the first time in 90 years. Beside him sat Dr. Hana Cho and Lieutenant Woojin Baek, both honored heroes of the war. In the center of the station's main plaza stood a new statue. It was carved from crystal that glowed with captured starlight. The figure was a woman in a pilot's uniform, her face calm and determined, her eyes looking toward the void. Captain Yuna Park, hero of the Battle of Telos, savior of the galaxy. When Ambassador Kang was asked to give the opening speech, he kept it short. 87 years ago, we stopped coming because no one listened. Today, we are here because you finally did. Let us make sure we never stop listening to each other again. The chamber was silent. Then, slowly, delegates began to stand. First the Mallory, then the Thrix, then species after species, rising from their seats in respect. For the first time in galactic history, humanity received a standing ovation. Outside the station, the stars burned bright. Somewhere among them, Earth continued its slow orbit around a yellow sun. Children played in parks. Families shared meals. Life went on. They did not know all the details of what had happened. They did not know the names of everyone who had sacrificed. But they knew one thing. They were safe, and they would never be alone again. In a quiet corner of the Coalition's Memorial Hall, a small plaque hung on the wall. It listed the names of everyone who had given their lives in the 87 years of preparation and the final battle. Thousands of names covered the surface. At the very bottom, someone had carved a simple message. "We heard the warning. We answered it. And we won." The plaque glowed softly in the darkness. A permanent reminder of humanity's greatest victory. Some species had called them primitives. Some had called them cowards. Some had said they would never matter. They were all wrong. Earth had risen. And the galaxy would never forget.